Let's podcast alongside Joe Giglio. I'm Joe Ovies, inside Eford Studios in downtown Raleigh, thanks to Empire Properties. And thanks to Copiers Plus. Check them out online at copiers-plus.com. Print management, document management. You get your workflow to the cloud, Joe. Although in the world of youth hockey, the workflow is not in the cloud. You need actual roster stickers to put on the official score sheets so that the tournament directors know who's on the ice.
It feels really complicated.
It is a little complicated. Me trying to find the right Avery sticker paper to put with the Kyocera. That's clutch because you got to get the right stickers for the right format and everything else. I got it done. Baby steps, growth.
All that matters.
That's all that matters. I am back from Hershey, Pennsylvania. Miami might be back.
We definitely have a quarterback.
Based on what we saw against Florida.
We can agree on that.
And the jokes are back for Florida State. Are you ready, Joe? Last week you weren't ready.
I tried so hard to zig when everyone else was zagging. Like everyone was literally taking a steaming deuce on Florida State. And I tried to be like, no,
it's okay.
Georgia Tech's not that bad and whatever. And yeah, and they could still win the ACC. And wow. Because here's the thing for me for Florida State. There's two things, actually. First of all, you've got, never mind we're suing the league. We want out of here. We hate you or whatever.
Well, as Brett McMurphy pointed out, teams that are currently suing the ACC are 0-3 to start the season.
Yeah. I mean, there's that part. I get all of that. Right.
Sure.
What I don't get, though, is how do you not show up for this football game in a Monday night Labor Day showcase when you know everyone's watching, when you know everyone has been taking a steam on you all week long for losing in week 0? Like, that's a real Mike Norvell problem that you can't have the team ready to play in this football game after being embarrassed. Say whatever you want about Dave Doran, but in this same exact scenario, multiple times, he always has his team ready after they are embarrassed. And that, to me, quite frankly, was shocking last night watching Florida State. The other thing for Florida State that I look at and I go, what exactly were they looking at in the portal? There's a lot of options at quarterback. Diego Pavia, he probably didn't even know who he was until he helps Vanderbilt beat Virginia Tech on Saturday.
Sure.
Well, he spent last year at New Mexico State. He had a really good season. You're telling me Florida State couldn't outbid Vanderbilt for a quarterback in the portal? Or they couldn't outbid Miami for Cam Ward in the portal? Because if you're about that life, be about that life. You ain't about that life if you're going to get DJ Uiagalelei to be your quarterback.
Well, a couple of things. One, to your point about Mike Norvell, I didn't believe the stat when I read it this morning that Mike Norvell at Florida State, the first 5 years, they've started out the year 0-2 3 times now. Now,
it's not great.
Let's throw out the COVID year. That was just a hot mess on various levels. And even in the second year, you lose to Jacksonville State. That's the big eyesore. But okay, you're still rebuilding from the mistakes that had been compounded from the end of the Jimbo Fisher era. So I'm going to give Mike Norvell a little bit of grace. You break through in year 3 and year 4. You talk about the hot fire that's supposed to be coming out after you lose to Georgia Tech. For me, the motivation is this system screwed us. We should have been in the college football playoff last year. Yes, we had an embarrassing bowl game loss to Georgia, but that's not us. That was a completely different situation. We're going to bounce back. We're going to breathe fire. We are an actual college football contender. And you can give credit to Georgia Tech and Ireland. Funky stuff, man. It's Ireland. There's jet lag. Georgia Tech's got a real toughness about them. Beating top 25 teams is routine for Brent Key apparently now. You're right. So, okay, fine. Let's throw that out. Then we get to your point. And sometimes I'll admit, you know how your dad, you like to tell your story about how your dad decided it was time to retire from teaching, right?
Yes.
It was always the beginning of the year, how he felt going into school. Okay. And I guess the same would apply for me. How much longer do I want to do this? Okay. Yeah. Radio's over. We're doing podcasts now. We're in year 2. Man, how much longer do I want to talk about sports for a living? And sometimes you have to ask yourself that question.
Yeah.
Do you still have that passion inside? Do you have that fire in you? And it usually comes about at the end of the summer. Am I looking forward to the start of the college football season? Am I looking forward to the start of the Canes? Am I looking forward to the start of basketball? I got to tell you something, man. When Florida State shit the bed in the first half against Boston College, I was excited. I was ready to come to work today. I could not wait to start the podcast because that's very much what I'm looking for. Speaking of taking a giant dump, the reason why I keep coming back is because people say stupid stuff on the internet, deleting it and acting as though it'll be forgotten forever. Y'all, it's 2024. By now, you should know the internet never forgets. So shout out to Seminole fan 321 Noel, who tweeted out on August 27th, if Florida State loses to Boston College this weekend, I will eat dog shit out of a red Solo cup with a spoon and post a video of me doing it. Book it. The man has since deleted his Twitter account. Do you think people forgot? No, which gets to the other thing. Do you think people forgot about all the whining from Florida State fans? Do you think that deep, somewhere in the deepest, darkest parts of the Sedgefield clubhouse, where John Swofford's chopping it up with his boys, he's not going, can you get a load of these guys? So I was excited to come to work today to point and laugh at Florida State. You cannot spend a year and a half telling us what your value is. You cannot sit here and tell us for years that the ACC does not set you up for success. Y'all can't even beat the small private schools. And what's more alarming for Florida State, it's not DJ Uiagalelei, man. I get what you're asking. What's your thought process here?
Yeah, I mean, this is the guy who literally, after Clemson had Trevor Lawrence and Deshaun Watson, thought they had this 5-star can't-miss recruit, put up amazing numbers in a loss to Notre Dame in the COVID year, came back, and he quite literally is one of the primary reasons that Clemson fell from the top of the ACC.
But he showed you something at Oregon State.
Yeah, he was better at Oregon State.
You want to call it hubris? All coaching staffs think they can take a guy and turn him around.
Okay? I'm the one who can save him.
I'm the one who can do this, okay? Not to go full J. Cole, but, don't save her. Don't want to be saved. And that might be the case of DJ Uiagalelei. And look, I'm not sitting here trying to tell you that DJU played a great game.
No, he was part of the reason
part of the problem.
They lost last night, as opposed to the Georgia Tech game, which I thought he played well enough to help them win.
Keyword, part of the problem. You know what Florida State's biggest problem is?
They cannot stop the run with a net right now.
Let's go back to, what is this? August 24th. This is from Pete Thamel. Yeah, August 24th. This is from Game Day in Ireland while they were, talking up the big Florida State Georgia Tech game. I thought this was interesting to go back and revisit.
8% of the starts for Florida State last year came from transfers. Had 10 guys drafted, 9 of those were transfers. They've done a great job in the portal. Who are the guys who are aspiring to be the next Jared Verse?
Well, Reese, I've had multiple NFL scouts who've gone through Tallahassee this summer tell me they expect Florida State to have the best starting defensive line in all of college football.
Whoopsies. Whoopsies.
Not quite. Hey, man, I'm guilty too. I thought they were going to win the ACC this year.
I'm glad you brought it on. I'm glad you brought it
I thought Clemson would stay where they were. I thought everyone wanted to talk about State. They still had some hurdles to clear in my brain. Miami, how are you supposed to trust Miami? Well, Cam Ward, if you're a Wazoo fan, you're sitting here screaming, yeah, guys, he's really that good. So I get it. I get being wrong about Florida State because I was, and I even doubled down on them after they lost to Georgia Tech.
You're not the only one. And that's why I brought up that clip. All throughout the summer, we've been told about the defensive line being a strength of theirs. Let's take the quarterback situation out of the conference. Let's take that out, strip it out. Florida State's biggest problem right now is that this does not look like a well put together team. Mike Norvell was positioned as the transfer portal king. This guy was rebuilding in a way that aligned with modern college football and juxtaposed against what Dabo was doing at Clemson. And both teams are struggling right now and not helping out the ACC. Okay. That is a problem. But I think the biggest problem for Florida State going forward is after all of the offseason, after the expectations that were put on you in as a college football playoff contender to start this year off and everybody just dogging you, how does Mike Norvell bring this thing back? DJU is what he is. And as bad as he was, the offensive line was also bad. And again, that's the alarming part about this. Both Florida State in the Georgia Tech game and the Boston College game, it comes down to their line play. The defensive line could not stop the run. And obviously they cannot protect DJU, and his wide receivers were also not helping him out either. This is a in total, a busted team out of the gate.
Other than that.
And look,
Was it great?
We can
How was the play?
we can spend a little bit more time talking about what this means for the ACC, what this means for how we talk about college football playoff contenders, because as much as we can sit here and joke about what's going on with Florida State, amusingly enough, with 2 losses in the ACC, shout out to Georgia Tech and Boston College for sharing a tie atop the ACC at the expense of Florida State 2 weeks in a row. Florida State maintains their position as the 17th place team in the ACC.
Going to be there for a minute.
Florida State can still win the league.
Yeah, but it would take a true miracle makeover at this point.
And before we get to housekeeping, I do want to say I have to hand it to Florida State. I will always admit when I'm wrong about stuff, and for the longest time, I have been wrong about what would get ACC people together. I've always been convinced that will ultimately get ACC people together is pettiness towards the SEC. Yeah, and we'll talk about this.
An outside force, galvanizing against an outside force.
Yeah, we'll talk about this on the other side. Wow, I really slipped into radio there. Apologies. Whew. Whew. On the other side, I'll tell you what's bringing together. No, anyway. Old habits die hard, man. No, but I always thought that the way to get ACC people together is that galvanizing force, and the galvanizing force would be to dunk on the SEC. I was wrong. The thing that has actually brought ACC people together is Florida State.
Yeah.
Florida State Schadenfreude has been the thing.
On their way out. They want to be the gift. That's fine.
Hey, I love it. I don't even think people were like this about Maryland. For real.
No, I miss Maryland. You know me.
Right.
I did until the Mayonnaise Bowl.
That's fair. I'm not quite sure anybody would miss Florida State at this point. I really don't.
No.
I really don't. So congratulations, Florida State. You did it. You finally did the thing that I've been begging. How to bring ACC people together. It's you. It's always been you.
Baby, it's you.
Housekeeping.
Big thanks to Enovana for sponsoring Ovies and Giglio and our housekeeping segment. You can check them out online at enovana.com. Green Cleaning Solutions.
If you have messes at your mansion or trash in your cabana, get it clean with Enovana.
We have a lot of apparel makers who are corporate champions of ours.
Okay.
We have our friends at Home Field. We have our friends at Rowback. But the outlet that puts together our shirts is Breaking Tea.
Mm-hmm.
We'll get into this a little bit later on in Lightning Round, but Seth Jarvis finally signed with the Carolina Hurricanes, and he's got a new shirt where he secured the bag. Breaking Tea put that shirt together. Proceeds will go to a charity. And you all have been asking for a new t-shirt, a new Ovies and Giglio t-shirt. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we have it. BreakingT.com/OG. The ABA vibes are back, baby. A defunct sports team for a defunct radio show. It is the Carolina Cougars on a nice light yellow shirt, green logo. So the eyes of the cat, the cougar, really pop on this one. You didn't quite get this when I showed it to you?
Yeah, this is not a...
But when Wes Durham saw it,
he was on it. Yeah.
He geeked. So I'm glad that resonated with him. So head on over to BreakingT.com/OG. You can get the new Carolina Cougars inspired Breaking Tea. You can also get it in a hoodie. You can get it in what else? That has the options here and whatnot.
Like a long sleeve t-shirt. There's a women's t-shirt.
There's all sorts of stuff that you can do with this. So by all means,
just get the real one. Go to Breaking Tea, not some bootleg website. Although I should take that as a sign of respect, right, Jeff Bistelic?
You should. Take it as a sign of respect that that's a thing that is actually happening. So anyway, go ahead and buy this today. Go to BreakingT.com. I know we have a couple of listeners who have been rocking the shirts. I saw the folks rocking it at the podcast festival. Big shouts to Beho on Twitter, who I guess was repping at the University Club over at NC State. He said he got a few positive comments on the swag. Look, all I'm saying is there should be some positive comments because if you believe Carolina fans, we're technically an NC State podcast. Speaking of the Wolfpack, Clark Leonard, he's wearing the Positive Vibes Only shirt. He is hyped for that Tennessee game against NC State, which we'll get into a little bit in Hey Joe because there's a lot of reactions to what we saw against Western Carolina ahead of this game against Tennessee. Elsewhere in housekeeping, OG Fans is live. Go to ogtrianglemedia.com. Bralo and I dropped an ACC Panic Room yesterday. Giglio, you've got a new newsletter today. A lot of numbers. A lot of yellow padding taking place in your newsletter today.
Yeah, it's also kind of building off a theme that you like to explore. Like, why does the ACC never get credit for what it does, but it always gets criticized for what it doesn't?
Yeah. We'll get into that here soon because we're seeing it unfold again based on the week 1 results. Big thanks to Matt Davis over at State Farm. We've talked about the SEC. We've talked about the ACC. We have not talked about the Matt Davis 12. And the Matt Davis 12 provided, did it not?
Told you that North Dakota State was going to fight with Colorado. Sure enough, they did. They covered. I'm excited, though, because my SMU is involved in this week's Matt Davis Big 12 game of the week. That's BYU at SMU. I can't wait. One of them's a Big 12 team. One of them's an ACC team. You figure it out.
Let's put it together. InsureGarner.com, DOGinsurance.com, or call Matt Davis directly at 919-779-8277. Weather continues to be bizarre. It's either super, super dry or we get flash flood warning conditions just about every other weekend. That weather is going to bring out the bugs. Trying to get in your house, you got mosquito activity. That's why you contact bugsbite.com. You can bundle and save with Mosquito Authority and Pest Authority. Mosquito Authority for the outside of your house, Pest Authority for the inside of your house. And with college football back, we are in peak tailgate season. It's very lovely today. We're having another one of those false falls here in early September. You might have this like urge to grill. Go to the butcher's market. You can get all sorts of great stuff at the butcher's market. Maybe you're headed out to Charlotte for that mayo kickoff. Hey, get some steak and finish off your steak with the mayo. I've heard that's a thing. Some people like to do it with mayo instead of butter when they finish off the steak. Maybe I'll give it a shot one of these days. Go to thebutchersmarkets.com. I'll tell you what you won't screw up is the signature steak tips. Those are always on point. So big thanks to the Butcher's Markets. You mentioned it when promoting OG fans about how we talk about the ACC and how we talk about the SEC. And look, there's a lot of different ways to talk about this. We kind of covered that ground with Florida State. Didn't spend a lot of time talking about Clemson. But honestly, what can you say about the Clemson-Georgia game that's in any way, shape, or form new? Kirby Smart right now at Georgia is where Nick Saban was at Alabama when he was running at his hottest. It remains to be seen if Kirby Smart can get away with a not-so-top Georgia team and still find a way to win a national championship. But right now, Georgia is absolutely stacked. They are clearly the best program in college football. Clemson flirted with that for a couple of years when they were the best program in college football.
Took out Saban twice in 3 years.
And one thing about college football, in all of its history, you have these programs that run hot for a bit. They fall down a little bit from missing on a quarterback recruit. You didn't get a great class in general. There's any number of things that can happen that prevent you from keeping that dynasty running. It happens to every single top-level college football program. But with Dabo and Clemson, it almost feels like it's more self-inflicted than anything else. And while there's plenty of time to talk about Dabo in the transfer portal, and that's what a lot of people were bringing up after they got crushed by Georgia, I really don't think the transfer portal is the reason why Georgia did what they did to Clemson. It just has to do with where Clemson is a program in general, has to do with their recruiting. It has to do with Georgia. And I don't know, outside of peak Cam Newton Auburn, what kind of quarterback transfer you were going to get that was going to give Clemson a chance against that Bulldog squad.
We also talked a lot about Dave Doeren maybe adjusting this year, his mindset, like a defensive guy. You know, maybe you do have to try to win some games by scoring in the 30s and 40s this year.
Yeah.
Well, the guy who needs to adjust his mindset is Dabo Swinney.
Mm.
You know, he finally was talked out of just promoting from within. He goes out and gets Garrett Riley, and it's 13-0 in the third quarter of the game on Saturday down in Atlanta. Clemson has the ball inside the 10-yard line, and Dabo decides to kick a field goal.
Mm-hmm.
What about the first half of that football game suggested to you that you were now going to score 2 more times in the final 20 minutes of that football game?
Don't know.
Nothing.
Don't know.
That's bad coaching.
Mm-hmm.
That's all that is. That has nothing to do with the portal. That's being a bad coach and not understanding that you have to be aggressive. Football now is aggressive. And 13-0, 3 points ain't gonna get it done. Okay? So bad coaching cost him. Bad coaching has cost Mike Norvell.
Mm-hmm.
Kick it around, bad coaching. I mean, it's really hard to.
It is hard to get.
Now, Miami might have a chance.
We'll see.
With that quarterback,
We'll
Miami might have a
see.
chance.
We'll see
Okay?
with Mario Cristobal.
But even he said he consulted with clock management people this offseason.
Yeah, we'll see about that.
Brilliant, Mario C. Take a knee.
Yeah, we'll see about that. Here's the thing, though.
Can you imagine that consulting fee? What could we have charged Mario to tell him? Take a fucking knee. Could we get 50 grand just to tell the guy to take a knee?
This is where we screwed up. We're trying to make this whole media thing happen.
Yeah, stupid.
Why did we not just go into consulting? That's what we should have done. We should have taken Fishbait Solutions' role with the ACC. So look, we can have a sober, objective conversation about Clemson and Florida State. Ironically, despite the fact that they've started off the year the way they have, both those teams, they're still very much in contention for the college football playoff, depending on how the ACC goes. Now, Florida State has to overcome the embarrassment of losing to these two ACC squads.
Not only the embarrassment, just the way that they've lost. They have not been able to stop the run. That's a recipe to lose every game.
Clemson, I'm not going to overreact too much because I'll reiterate the point. That's Georgia. Georgia's going to do that to a lot of teams, including teams in the SEC.
Yeah, Georgia's 43-0 against all teams not named Alabama since the start of the 21 season.
Clemson's still technically skilled enough, talented enough to make a run out of it in the ACC.
Sure.
Okay. And Cade Klubnik might be, I mean, the offense looks a little stale. I get all that stuff, but they still got some dudes. Ultimately, they still have some dudes. But here's the funny thing about when we talk about the ACC. When Clemson loses to Georgia, well, it becomes, and I jotted these down, Paul Feinbaum, Dabo is dumb for the way he's going about constructing a college football program now in the modern era. Okay. Quote, complete and utter failure, Clemson, with what happened against Georgia, which again, it's going to happen to a lot of SEC schools. For Florida State, it's over for Florida State. And maybe it will be, but again, they're not completely out. The whole point of how we talk about college football in week 0 and week 1 is how the college football playoff and the expansion recalibrates how we overreact to things. But in the ACC, apparently we're still in the overreaction business when we're talking about them nationally.
Well, I mean, you can't lose to Vanderbilt. I get that.
I get that. Virginia Tech cannot lose to Vanderbilt. I get that. But let's juxtapose how we talk about the ACC with how we talk about the SEC. And here's Paul Feinbaum on Get Up with Booger McFarland, I think Joey Galloway, and Heather Dinich with Mike Greenberg. And this is after an embarrassing loss to Southern Cal, a coach, by the way, in Lincoln Riley, that Paul Feinbaum loves to roast. Remember, he goes after these top coaches in other conferences. And in his mind, you know, the sheen is off Lincoln Riley. You know, it's all hype. It's all this. Well, they just got a key win over LSU. This is now the third loss that LSU has suffered to open up a season under Brian Kelly.
3 straight season opening losses now for Brian Kelly. Where is LSU at this moment, Paul Feinbaum?
I was about to punch myself in the leg, but I wouldn't continue talking. This program, it is a crushing loss, but it's not over for LSU.
Huh. Crushing loss, but it's not over for LSU.
Never mind, it would be harder to win the SEC than the ACC.
Of course. Meanwhile, the thing that you highlighted going into the weekend happened. Notre Dame needed to beat Texas A&M in order for the ACC to have that transitive property talk that we all love. Miami goes out and takes care of business against Florida. The conversation around Miami taking care of business around Florida isn't the fact that Miami looks legitimate. They've got an excellent quarterback in Cam Ward. Instead, it becomes, what's Billy Napier's buyout? What's wrong at Florida? Where do they go next? All these types of things, not giving credit to Miami. So here we are doing it again, where winning isn't enough for the ACC. If you want to focus on Vanderbilt, Virginia Tech, cool, go ahead. But just ask yourself this. Why is it that one of the dark horses that people had identified out of the ACC, losing to Vanderbilt with a good defense and a pretty decent quarterback, suddenly is the worst thing that ever could have happened? It's the worst thing for the ACC. Virginia Tech is completely just baked. But when it happens to an SEC school, do we get that same conversation?
Well, no. I mean, you know, they were never really going to be in the playoff anyway.
I see. Oh, I see now. Why does this happen?
I don't know. It's one of the great life's mysteries. I even asked Jim Phillips this when we talked to him at the kickoff. I said, why Well, it just seems like you never get credit for what you do, but you always get criticized for what you don't.
Mhm.
I think it applies to men's basketball too.
Yeah.
To be perfectly honest with you, because we do the same shit in November and December. Oh man, the Mountain West has more NCAA teams than the ACC. Oh man, Boston College lost to Cornell. The ACC is awful this year, and it's like, okay, cool. But in football, when the SEC has multiple teams, well, see, look at the top.
Mm-hmm.
But when Duke and Carolina play in the Final Four against each other, well, that's just because them.
Mm-hmm.
The rest of the league stinks.
Mm-hmm.
Georgia makes the playoff. Oh no, see, even last year, retconned. Texas, see, it's because they're joining the SEC. That's why they're back. I mean, it'll give you whiplash, man.
It really does, and it's hard to keep track of. And the only thing it can really come back down to is who it is that ESPN continues to put front and center when they talk about college football. I mean, I just gave you the rundown of the people who were on Get Up. It's predominantly SEC people, and it's predominantly Paul Feinbaum, who's the face of college football coverage as a pundit.
Yeah,
that's fine. Okay,
SEC
cool.
He's the top league. I get it.
And it's also
no one's disputing that.
It's also their top partner. Yeah. I mean, they spent the most amount of money on the SEC. I mean, you would think, given all the money that they're working with the SEC, their commissioner could at least promote their streaming service. I thought it was interesting that DirecTV and ESPN are currently going through a carriage fight.
Yeah.
So you're not getting the Disney channels on DirecTV. And Greg Sankey, for whatever reason, retweeted a Stuart Mandel opinion on how these carriage fights tend to go. And Sankey, the commissioner of the SEC, tweets out, "That's why I use YouTube TV."
Not Hulu.
I thought to myself, like, whoa. If I'm Jimmy Pitaro, if I'm Bob Iger, and I'm giving like millions and millions of dollars to the SEC, the least the commissioner can do is go, "Hey, why don't you go use the streaming service that's owned by the parent company that has our TV rights?" Even John Swofford did that. When John Swofford was trying to get the ACC network promoted, he said, "Go get Hulu, the Disney version. Thank you." So I thought that was interesting from Greg Sankey. Regardless, that was a tangent on my part. The only thing that the ACC can do outside of winning, as I've illustrated multiple times, as Giglio has pointed out multiple times, winning isn't enough. There's always going to be a yeah, but. And this is where the ACC has to go and fight on those corners with the television decision makers. You're a great partner for us, but we need Eric McLean on that panel on Get Up. Hey, we really appreciate what you've done for the ACC network. However, we need EJ Manuel on that panel with these people talking about the ACC, and not necessarily to promote the ACC, but to do the very thing that you just did and what I just did. And that is to point out, hey, wait a minute. Why is it that when this team loses in our conference, it's the end of the world? And it's just further proof that this league sucks. But when it happens to you, no big deal. They weren't a playoff
They need to
contender.
fire their coach anyway.
They had to move on anyway. It's an individual problem. It's the coach problem, not a program problem, a conference problem. And the only way you fight that is by having people in position to do so. So the ACC, to their credit, has done a lot to try to change the conversation around them. The commissioners made themselves a little bit more available this year. They are getting their personalities to fight for the league on social media a little bit more. But now that next step is to get them on TV more consistently. And I say this as somebody who's observed television for a very, very long time. ESPN loves the friction. The entire setup for ESPN going forward, as evidenced by their recent stand-ups, where they promoted Stephen A. Smith and they promoted Pat McAfee, is opinion-based programming. We want the friction. We want the debate. We want people to have these kinds of takes. Cool. If you really want to add to that friction on television for some really dynamic television, you bring in somebody like Eric McLean to just be a fact checker. I mean, honestly, that's if you're the ACC, what you do is you just go, look.
Let Brian Ives come on.
I'm being
drop some knowledge on you.
You're half joking.
I know.
But much like they've got Hembo, they should bring Brian Ives, who's a longtime producer at the ACC network, who came up through ESPN Stats and Information, and he always has some sort of information fact nugget that will make you go, damn, okay. And yeah, Paul Feinbaum, yeah, that's what you do. Feinbaum's on there spouting whatever he's spouting, and then, you get the buzzer. Throw a flag onto the set. I don't care what it is, but you get somebody like Brian Ives out there to go, whoa, 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 whoa. Just so you know, here are the stats on that. Honestly, it's the only way the ACC is going to be able to change the conversation, and that is to put people in position to argue. Will they get that? Will ESPN listen? I don't know. Those decisions are ultimately made above my pay grade, but it is something to keep an eye on. Big thanks to Home Field. Check them out online, homefieldapparel.com. We talk about their hoodies all the time, but did you see the coaches' jackets? They got a coach jacket.
They look good.
They look really, really good. They got coaches' jackets for NC State, for Duke, and for Carolina. They look amazing. And as we know with our false falls, a light jacket might be the exact thing you need. So head on over to homefieldapparel.com right now. Use that promo code OG24 to save 15% off your order. Again, that's homefieldapparel.com. Use that promo code OG24. Big thanks to Hometown Realty. Check them out online, myhtr.com. We understand the Triangle is a housing market that is hot. Homes do not stay on the market for very long. So why in the world would you take some sort of guaranteed offer and leave a bunch of money on the table? You don't want to do that, Joe.
Not a good idea.
Not a good idea.
Go to myhtr.com. I was driving around the G on Sunday. Saw a bunch of different signs from my friends at Hometown Realty because there's a bunch of new construction, new developments. Get in there. Don't just try to get in line. Don't hope and wish. Go with the professionals. Buy and sell with confidence. myhtr.com.
Also, big thanks to Whitaker and Hamer. Check them out online, wh.lawyer, attorneys and counselors at law. You bought that house, you sold the house, you got to take it to closing. Well, Whitaker and Hamer can handle that. They handle all sorts of legal issues and legal needs, and you can find what you need at wh.lawyer. Again, that's wh.lawyer.
I've already contacted Josh about getting a signing bonus that is paid the day after our auction draft expires in order to secure the cheetah Tariq Hill on my roster.
Jeez. Okay. Fair enough. All right, we've spent a lot of time talking about the ACC on a national level, what happened in the SEC on a national level. We haven't necessarily talked about what all this means locally. And you texted something to me that I thought was interesting before we started the show today, and that Syracuse might be the team that's set up to have the kind of year that NC State wants. Syracuse, with their schedule, might be able to take advantage of the opening that Florida State and Clemson have provided in a way that maybe North Carolina would
Sure,
because they also have a pretty easy schedule going forward.
Everybody has an easier schedule, it feels like. Here's the thing about Syracuse, and they have a new coach. You always get that little bump, that little new car smell. You get that new coach in there, and all of a sudden everyone remembers, oh, yeah, I forgot what it was like to be motivated and to be coached up and be interested in what's going on. Kyle McCord, I just want to give you this stat, okay?
Okay.
Kyle McCord and their win over Ohio, and you could dismiss it as Ohio, whatever. He had 354 passing yards with 4 touchdowns. I want you to understand something. Kyle McCord was the starting quarterback for the Ohio State last year with no less than 3 NFL receivers, right? Including Marvin Harrison Jr., right? Do you know how many times last year he threw for 350 yards with 4 touchdowns in a game for Ohio State? You don't have to guess long. 0. Not once.
All right.
Not once. Okay. No wonder why Fran Brown's over here trying to figure out if he needs to get the Veuve Clicquot, or maybe he needs some Dom Perignon to send over to Kyle. What's his name? Is this the stupid Ohio State coach with the beard?
Oh,
not Kyle.
Ryan
Day.
Yeah. I know you're adamant about the schedule, but what the schedule does bring into focus, it's don't beat yourself.
Yes.
Okay. And
make your layups, as Dave likes to say.
Okay. Western Carolina was supposed to be a layup.
I know.
But
it was not.
In a way.
It was not.
But in a way, probably good for NC State going into the Tennessee game of, all right, well, clearly we have a lot of these things to fix. For North Carolina, it's you learned essentially the hard way with Max Johnson's injury He's going to be done for the year. He broke his leg. It's really unfortunate. I mean, look, Mac, we spent so much time talking about quarterbacks, and all I could think of was my guy who texted me that's close to the program, and it says, look, I get that you guys are talking quarterbacks and you're going with what Mac is telling you, but I'm telling you right now, behind the scenes, there is no, it's Max Johnson. Like, he's clearly the guy positioned to start, and they're going to give him a go. And based on the way that the game played out up until the injury, Max Johnson was the quarterback. There was no two quarterback stuff going on for Mac Brown. So a lot of us fell for the smoke and mirrors on that stuff. But with his injury, it now puts back into focus what Connor Harrell is capable of and whether or not Jacoby Criswell can get ramped up if Harrell does not step up. But I think it's fairly obvious what North Carolina's season is going to be. Will it be good enough, though? Can they win this way? And that is ball control. A lot of Amari and Hampton, who, I mean, everybody knows he's going to get the ball. And whether or not
impressive that he had 129 yards when everyone in the building knew he was getting the ball.
And whether or not their defense will be able to hold up over the course of the season. Now, look, Mac Brown, North Carolina, starts to the seasons. That's not the problem.
8-1 since the start of 21.
And look, good for Mac Brown because he's doing exactly what I said the ACC should do. Fact check.
Started 22.
Go ahead and fact check. Give everybody the stats, how you've been doing.
Yeah.
Tout yourself. And that's what Mac did. This is from RL Bottom, who goes to the press conferences. And here's the audio of Mac Brown touting the Tar Heels.
We've done a great job of starting seasons. And the headline we got is first win on the road since 92. So this is probably a little more positive than that for those that are looking for positive headlines. And other than that, we haven't been as good with other teams that have in opening games. So I like the way we've started. The Big Ten was 17-1 this weekend, and we were the one win against the Big Ten. There were two ACC teams that beat Power 4 teams in the opener. That was us in Miami. So a lot of great things came out of this weekend for the Tar Heels moving forward.
So that's Mac Brown doing exactly what we asked, tout themselves. The question is,
but was it their first road win since 92? Like, if it's real, it's real. Like,
yeah. Look,
at the risk of entering certain political discourse, like if it's real, it's real, man.
Yeah. I get what you're saying. Let's put it this way. North Carolina was fortunate to win. 2 missed kicks.
The all Big Ten kicker did miss 2 field goals in the game.
Yes. Yep. That's the margin for error for the Tar Heels.
Sure.
Simple as that.
Hey, but I give credit to Noah Burnett for making his field goals.
Some big kicks.
Game.
And then, like, not chippies, man.
No.
These were some big kicks.
No.
Okay.
It's come a long way since that state game 2 years ago.
For North Carolina, they at least have a stretch of the schedule that allows them to figure some stuff out offensively with Connor Harrell. You've got...
I think it's Harrell. We got yelled at for the other way.
Did I say Harrell again?
Yeah.
No, you're right. My bad. It is Harrell. I will correct. Thank you. I'm an old habits die hard on that.
Sam.
One.
Yeah.
Exactly. So Connor Harrell has the next couple of weeks to find something dynamic.
You get Charlotte and NC Central. You can ramp that thing up a little bit.
Charlotte, NC Central, then you've got JMU, and then you got the Duke game.
I thought he made plays in those 2 field goal drives too to help them win the game. His numbers weren't flashy. His game wasn't flashy. I understand that. But I thought he made plays to help them win a football game.
Yeah.
On the road against a real team, you got to be happy about that.
You got to be happy about that. And for as much as we've talked about the defense made some key stops.
Defense looked good. I noticed something new about the defense too.
What's that?
Well, Jeff Collins gets a lot of attention.
Well, sure.
Right? I mean,
Minister of Mayhem, that's the thing.
New defense coordinator. I felt like, hey, these guys are all, without obviously watching the all 22 tape, they were lined up in the right spots. They again made some plays when they needed to make plays, including a little help from Minnesota on the final drive. Like, yeah, let's just center the ball instead of taking 5 or 8 more yards on a pass play.
Yeah.
But no, one thing I noticed, Carolina, they have a transfer from NC State. Jakeem Harris broke the matrix. Do you know who led North Carolina in tackles on Thursday night in Minnesota? I'll do it for you. Jakeem Harris. Well, look at that. They spent all this time recruiting 4- and 5-star guys and being so happy with all these guys. And it took the wolf blood to straighten them out. I see it.
Why are you like this?
Again, if it's something that happened, I'm just pointing it out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
They've had other players. They've had higher rated guys that have struggled. And yet here they go. They go get a guy from State. And look, he leads you in tackles. He's got you in the right spot, making plays. And he broke the matrix. Like, I get it that whoever is mad about whatever, State fans look at this, whatever. No, you should be happy for Jakeem Harris. State went out and added guys in the portal. He said, where can I play? I can play at Carolina.
And now he's leading tackle.
And now you can prove all this time. Yeah, you needed our help. You needed us, not your 4 and 5 star recruits.
I've spent a good chunk of time. Arguing with people about what this podcast is about.
Okay.
And I
We're
will
literally talking about North Carolina.
And I will continue to fight this idea that, well, you guys are just a State podcast. Like that kind of thing. That's an oversimplification.
Sure.
Right. And I do maintain that people just simply have a hard time processing when State is talked about in a positive manner.
Yeah.
They don't know how to handle that. You got decades of people dunking on NC State. They experienced some success. Most people are going to go, oh, cute. Let them have it. Others can't stand it. But you're not helping, man. You're not helping.
Look, if Jakeem Harris went over there and maybe like somebody transferred to Texas A&M and never played.
Yeah, we're talking about UNC.
Matter.
Oh, we're talking about UNC. See, right? Yeah, we are. But then what do you do?
Again,
You make it about State.
He was their statistically, he was their best player on defense. Oh, they did have a guy on defensive front who had 3 sacks. So, I mean, I can highlight him as well.
Why are you the way that you are, man? It's ridiculous. All right. That aside. Syracuse is going to have the season that State wants. Syracuse is going to have the season that Carolina might want.
I believe so, yes.
That Louisville might want. I will say this to your point.
Now Syracuse could lose to Georgia Tech this week.
They could.
I hope Syracuse is not ranked.
Georgia Tech could be that team.
They could be.
That
Georgia
team.
Tech, Louisville, Pitt, who remodeled their offense. I think we kind of forgot that they were a little bit of a force. ACC champions 2 years ago. The SMU. This league is more wide open. And I get it. It has to be the brands. We've talked about that forever.
Yeah.
Miami will be one of the brands. I think they will. They look like they have a real chance to be back.
I totally agree with you, but you just said it. The league is wide open. This is not the first time the league has been wide open. This is not
21. Yeah.
This is like, the whole, the Atlantic. I mean, look at Florida State and Clemson right now. Wouldn't you love to have been in the Atlantic?
Bring back the Atlantic. Yes.
No, because State's schedule is even easier without the Atlantic. So that's the point. Here is your window. If it's all coming up Wolfpack, look around, guys. Look around.
Look around. They play Clemp, Wake, Syracuse. So they it's a pretty good Atlantic there. And then they got Cal, Newbie, Stanford, Newbie.
Okay.
Duke, GT, Carolina, Coastal.
Okay.
Yep.
So there it is for you, State.
Yeah.
Like Pat Narduzzi said, just go out and beat Clemson. It's there for you.
A little bit easier now. Yep.
Theoretically, yes. I mean, it's on the road, but I don't want to hear it about NC State anymore and the schedule and everything else. Now you can't spin it with, but I don't know about Syracuse, man. No, you're supposed to be Syracuse.
Transfer.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about Louisville in this. No,
Carolina still has an easier schedule.
Okay.
I'm just saying.
And that includes
especially
NC
now
State.
since Florida State.
That includes NC State.
Carolina's 2 most difficult games.
Yeah.
Okay, well, take Georgia Tech out of the equation because that's their kryptonite.
It is.
Their 2 most difficult games are at Florida State.
Okay.
Who may seriously, we might see a lot of Florida State players opt out, by the way. Like that could get really wild down there.
It could be.
And then they play State at home.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you understand what I'm getting at here?
Right, but you understand what I'm getting at. Like Carolina actually has an easier schedule than State still.
But they
somehow
but that's that you're missing the point. You're missing the point.
I know your point.
The point here is you've been begging to get out of the Atlantic. You're out of the Atlantic.
No, I want the Atlantic back.
And now suddenly you want the Atlantic back because look at Florida State and Clemson. You are full of shit. You are absolutely full of shit. You will not come off this point that, if NC State had just been in a different division. Well, here we are. We now have 2 years of divisionless football. The first year State had an opportunity, didn't happen. Louisville took advantage
lead
of it.
Against Louisville too.
Took advantage of it. Now it's there for the Wolfpack as well. Can they do it? And what happens against Tennessee on Saturday is immaterial to that point of what happens in the ACC. Immaterial to it.
True.
So, State, I don't want to hear any excuses. And if it comes into, well, you see Jakeem Harris, goes over to North Carolina and he unlocks their defense. That's NC State shit, Joe. No, it's
that's
not.
Dead. That's dead.
No, it's not.
That's further proof it is the year of the wolf, that one of your players goes somewhere and becomes their star.
Will they put that in the stat pack?
They should.
Maybe they should. Big thanks to Roback for sponsoring Ovies and Giglio. Check them out online, roback.com, RHOBACK.com. Use that promo code OG20 to save 20% off your order. Giglio's got the Roback on right now.
I did. I'm robacking up on, what was it, Saturday? I went down and caddied for Jackson down at Longleaf Golf Course, Southern Pines.
Yeah.
And if not for my peaches, there's a real good chance that there was a emergency room visit involved. So I'm glad Roback was there to save me.
Good. Big thanks to Nature's Relief Hemp Store. Check them out, naturesreliefhempstore.com, RELEAF.com. Came back from Hershey, Pennsylvania. I was keyed up from all the driving. I took an edible. I took that Combo Sativa Indica gummy. And I zonked right out. This is exactly what I need. Had a great night of sleep thanks to that.
Zonk is the way.
Zonking out is the way. But let's say you don't want to zonk out. You're just looking for something a little bit more sessionable. They have those options too at Nature's Relief. That's why it's important to go and talk to somebody. Really informative staff, really friendly staff, and they can point you in the right direction for what you need. So go to naturesreliefhempstore.com. I would suggest you take one of those 25 milligram gummies.
No.
Chill out on the couch and then go to your freezer and pull out the 2 gallons of peanut butter cookie that you got from Two Roosters, Joe. That's what I would do. You might eat the whole thing.
Cleaned up, man. I feel like Elaine and Seinfeld, I will now be deeming who is worthy of the peanut butter cookie and who is not, because I hold the supply now.
New month means new flavors. So head on over to Two Roosters. The new ones include strawberry cheesecake. This is from a home chef, Vivian Chen. They also got a peanut butter scotcheroo.
Yeah, that one feels like the peanut butter cookie, but it has butterscotch Rice Krispies and a chocolate ripple.
They also have a mint fudge brownie or a horchata Oreo, which sounds intriguing.
Mint fudge brownie has potential to be my new love affair.
Grandma's chocolate trifle and watermelon sour patch sorbet. All that is available to you at Two Roosters. So check them out online, tworoosters.com. Again, that's tworoosters.com.
Like a 20 pack.
You like the Zeus? I mean, it's an AI Zeus, man. I mean, it is what it is. I use some Adobe stock credits. I'm like, what's the most ridiculous thing I can find with lightning? Scroll. Then I see AI Zeus with lightning? Hell yes.
Oh, man.
Let's get into the lightning round, where over the weekend, Seth Jarvis finally signed his contract with the Carolina Hurricanes. I was thinking back to our conversation with Luke Takaka at the News and Observer. He pretty much laid it out on, Wednesday or Thursday last week, when it was, all right, should we be freaking out about the lack of details on this contract? Turns out there's a lot of deferred money. Dundon wanted a certain number, average annual value in his head. There was the egos that had to be taken care of with Sebastian Aho and Andrei Svechnikov and who's got what money and everything else. So it looks like Eric Tulsky, the spreadsheet king, found out a way to make it happen. And I think it's just over $7 million annual average value in cap hit. I think it's like 7.34, $29 million plus in signing bonuses, and then a whole bunch of money deferred when the contract wraps up in 8 years. So everybody wins here. The Canes get under the cap. They keep him at a number that's manageable for them, and Seth Jarvis gets paid. So
pretty clever.
Good for the Canes, right? Can we get Eric Tulsky to look at our books?
Probably.
You think he could help on our taxes?
Absolutely.
Think you'll do it for free, though?
Can I defer it to the day, to April 16th or something like that?
Hey, can I defer my tax burden to my kids when I die? Because I don't want to deal with it. Is that cool? Can we make that happen? I don't even know if that's a thing. But you know what? I bet you Eric Tulsky would find a way to make that happen. Because, ladies and gentlemen, he is the spreadsheet king. Now with the Carolina Hurricanes wrapped up with their roster, I think they got 21 guys signed, just about $500,000 left in salary cap. They are on a very, very thin margin for making this season work. So let's hope they stay healthy, and guys like Marty Necas step up their game. Andrei Shevchikov steps up his game, and there's something that is unlocked with Sebastian Aho, and of course goaltending needs to step up as well. Just a few weeks away from the start of the season. Looking forward to it.
Lightning round.
Remind me, how long did it take you to curse on air?
I almost got to our third birthday. It was about a month shy of our third birthday. I was really proud of myself. You were not. You were like, basically there's one rule and you broke it. But I was like super proud that it took me that long to swear. Nick Saban, nah, he has no use for those FCC rules, those pesky FCC rules.
No, it took 2 weeks of College Game Day for him to finally curse.
Well, I just want to say, you guys keep talking about a $20 million roster.
Yeah.
If you don't pay the right guys, you'll be out of luck.
I love that they mute that on the ESPN social media feeds as though it matters on social media if he says shit or not, because it was caught live on the air that he said shit, and everybody had a fun time with that. Fine, so be it. Nick's been good on College Game Day, at least in the clips that I've seen. I haven't spent a lot of time watching College Game Day. I just get stuff fed to me in clip form. One thing I will say about College Game Day is that there is no neutral thought. There is no neutrality on Pat McAfee. If Pat McAfee comes up in conversation, it is going to be a war in your mentions. Pat McAfee is not my cup of tea, but I also understand I'm not necessarily his demographic. And he's doing really, really well with his demographic. Yep. And that's what matters to ESPN. That demographic is the youth demographic. And I think the hard part of this for people, especially our age, is that they grew up on College Game Day. So when the thing that they loved growing up changes and it's no longer designed for them, they think it sucks. No, you've just aged out of it. It's not for you anymore. Sorry. And there was a clip. I got to mute. I got to mute this so we don't get flagged by YouTube. But, here's Pat McAfee vibing. Here's Nick Saban looking like he wants to be anywhere but there. I mean, really, I got to admit, this is sometimes our dynamic.
Nick Saban's still not just letting the gray win.
No. Yeah, he's getting that paint. He is getting that paint.
Come on, Nick.
But I was watching that. And I thought to myself, this is you and me sometimes before we start a podcast. You're singing Michael McDonald, you're vibing, you got the stereo blasting, and I'm just Mr. Serious, like, can we start?
Yeah, you same. What are these life choices that I've made? It's a very familiar look on Nick Saban's face.
What you saw on Nick Saban's face is very much a face I've made. Why am I here? Why am I doing this?
It's a lightning round. It's the lightning round.
Now, we did not spend a lot of time talking specifically about Brian Kelly, LSU coach.
My family.
I don't know if he was trying to vibe like Pat McAfee was vibing, but his rhythm's not the same.
And we're sitting here again. We're sitting here again talking about the same things. About not finishing when you have an opponent in a position to put them away. But what we're doing on the sideline is feeling like the game's over. And I'm so angry about it that I got to do something about it. I'm not doing a good enough job as a coach.
I think my favorite part.
Oh, outrage.
My favorite part of the clip is I am so angry about it.
Mister, I'm going to count to 3. You better put that lollipop back. You better not. Oh, jinkies.
How much longer does this last?
I am so mad. Like, he got madder at his center for fumbling in a 8 inches of standing water at NC State in 2016 than he did there. That was, I mean, come on, man. Although I will say this, he's 62 as a middle-aged fat guy. Like, he looks amazing.
True.
I bet you he's lost like 40, 50 pounds from his peak.
True.
So why would you be happy? He's got that look on his face like, yeah, man, I shot a 74 earlier this summer. I shot my career around earlier this summer. I mean, what do I really care? I lost 40 pounds. I look great. Hit the ball. I'm about 15 yards further off the tee than I was last summer. This is amazing.
You know, why would he be mad anyway? I mean, he's got his. Why would he be mad? He's got his family. He's got everything to be happy about, Joe. All right, what's more embarrassing, the faux anger from one Brian Kelly or Billy Napier getting beat by the Canes and then apparently being unable to beat a water bottle?
Just when it rains, it pours.
Yeah, Coach. I mean, given the experience and how confident you were in this team going into the season, just how disappointing and surprising was this performance?
Yeah, I mean, it's embarrassing, to be quite honest with you. Yep, that's how I feel. That's how our kids feel. We've got a decision to make. You know, I mean, I think we have.
If you're watching on YouTube, he's trying to unscrew an Aquafina bottle, the white cap. And as he's talking about how this is super embarrassing, yeah, it's pretty embarrassing that he's unable to open up this water bottle as he puts it back on the table and just doesn't say anything about it. Fine, so be it. Cool. I think the most disappointing part about that is you don't know the oldest trick in the book to open up a water bottle, that you might have damp hands. I get it. There's moisture on the bottle.
Sure.
It can be tough sometimes.
Use your shirt.
Use your shirt, dude. Use your shirt. Your shirt is the most versatile piece of equipment you have in your arsenal. Do you got to defog your glasses? Piece of shirt. Got to wipe your hands? Your shirt. Got to sneeze? Your shirt. You need to cover your head because it's super, super hot out and you're burning the top of your head. Put that shirt in some water, wrap it around your head, and wear it like a do-rag. That is the beauty of the shirt, including grip on a water bottle. Fire him right there. Not because of what happened against Miami. You fire Billy Napier right there for cause. For cause. Because if you cannot adapt to opening up a water bottle in that situation, what tells me that you're going to be able to adapt on the football field when you're getting your ass handed to you by Miami or anybody else in the SEC? That's for cause. Straight up for cause. Speaking of the Hurricanes.
We've got a lot to get to. It's a lightning round.
Was Michael Irvin getting like super emotional talking about Cam Ward? I get that Cam Ward was good, but he was practically in tears talking about Cam Ward.
He probably needs to consult a physician after 4 hours because, I mean, this man, he is feeling this deep.
I can give you a quick story about it. You know, one time I heard one of the receivers from the U was throwing in Fort Lauderdale, running routes with Lamar Jackson. Cam Ward and the guys were going on the field to throw in Miami. And Cam called the receiver. He said, man, where are you? We're going out to throw. He said, oh, I'm up here working out with Lamar Jackson. 2-time NFL MVP, Lamar Jackson. You know, go get him some Instagram shots working out with Lamar Jackson. Go post it. Everybody going to be talking about it. Cam said to him, dog, you ain't going to be catching no passes in Baltimore from Lamar Jackson this year. And if you don't get your ass back to Miami and get on the field with us, you ain't going to be catching no pass in Miami either. And hung the phone up. That's what we need. That's what we need. Somebody that makes the work work. Somebody that knows how to pour. Get your butts up here. Let's get this work in.
It's downright emotional.
He's excited, man.
I was getting caught up.
I don't know if I can blame him either. I mean, Cam Ward was that guy.
I was feeling it deep.
I know I'm not allowed to say anything to your dad about it because it'll be I jinxed it or something.
Oh, look, as long as West Durham doesn't do any Miami games, we should be fine.
Topics, stack it up. Giglio's roll back it up. Well, I know what we'll do. A lightning round.
All right, so we have a fantasy draft on Wednesday.
We do.
Are
Yard,
there any Panthers I should be drafting? If you had to, if you were forced to take a Carolina,
Chuba.
We look into week 1 here.
Yeah.
The Panther season starts up. Is there one player you'll take?
I mean, you're not going to take him early, obviously, but I would take Chuba Hubbard and I would take Xavier Leggett.
Yeah, Leggett was the one that I was thinking of too. It was like a late pickup. That's the thing I have to remind myself about when it comes to fantasy football. Just because they're on a meh team doesn't mean that some guys can't rack up.
Yeah.
Sometimes those are the best players to take, if you think about it.
Yeah.
So I was just curious about it as I'm starting to do some research on the draft that we have coming up with our friends at Groove Wagon at Tap Yard on Wednesday. Whether or not I will take a Panther and whether I should feel bad about taking a Panther.
You'll be able to make it work. Remember, it's an auction, so once you spend all that money on Tariq and some other guys, then all of a sudden you're like, I have $1 left.
Yeah,
I will take,
speaking,
tight end.
Speaking of the Panthers. Ladies and gentlemen, the football season is about to be here. We're very excited about that. And hopefully the Panthers will not ruin any of your excitement once the season starts. There's plenty of other things to get into, right? But the Panthers right now, in 5 days on DraftKings, they are +4 at -112. Saints are -4, -108. I think the Panthers are going to win straight up against the Saints. I'm going money line.
Wow.
+160 on the money line for the Carolina Panthers. That's where I'm at, Joe.
Roll it out.
I'm very excited about this. There's a quick single game parlay that you can put together. +294 for the Panthers, where Panthers money line over 18.5 team total points and over 2.5 for team total touchdowns. I might put $5 down on that too, because I'm high on the Panthers, Joe.
Yeah, that's okay. I would love to see them get off to a really good start. I will say this: the Chargers are a home 3. I think Jim Harbaugh has proven in year 1 that he has a instant turnaround. Raiders, I do like Gardner Minshew, but more of as a fantasy filler, if you will. I think the Chargers are going to be good this year. Home 3 against the Raiders. Give me the Chargers week 1.
I'm with that. Look, NFL week 1 is here, and a new season means new ways to get in on the action with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. So if you're ready to place your first bet, you haven't done so yet, download the app, use that promo code OG24. Again, that code is OG24. New customers will get $250 in bonus bets when you bet just $5. And in celebration of the new football season, you get 1 month of NFL Plus Premium on DraftKings. Again, only on DraftKings. The crown is yours. The NFL Plus Premium offer is available only to new and former NFL Plus subscribers. Additional NFL Plus Premium terms can be found at NFL.com/terms. Use that promo code OG24 to get those bonus bets in action. Again, that's promo code is OG24.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 and over. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/ftball.
All right, let's thank Happy and Hail. Check them out. Download the app, use them, and save time. Use that app so you can show up to Happy and Hail in North Hills. You can go to North Raleigh, all that fun stuff, and go in, grab your stuff, and go. Speaking of smoothies, buddy, I need a break.
Let's take a break. Let's take a hockey break.
Brought to you by Happy and Hail.
I need a break from all the French fries that I ate over the weekend.
Good call.
Yeah. So again, up in Hershey, and I get to, you're eating fast food on the way up. Well, you're going to have fries when you have fast food on the way up. Is what it is. On Friday night, after their first game, ended up going to Hershey's Chocolate World.
Ooh.
And I ended up having a Reese's peanut butter and caramel cocktail.
Whoa.
That used, I believe, Screwball peanut butter whiskey. So it had like bits of Reese's peanut butter cup. It had the Reese's peanut butter kind of like dredged on the sides of the glass, some peanut crumbles on top of that. Chocolate milk as a base. It was decadent, to say the least. The kids were hungry. So I'm like, here's some cash. There's a food truck out there. They come back with what was called a fry flight.
Oh boy.
Had a pile of fries with 3 different sauces on top of it. Loaded cheese, bacon, all that stuff, right? That's fry intake number 1. The next day, we go to Hershey Park. Inside Hershey Park, they've got a Chickies and Pete's. Chickies and Pete's, people know I'm a fan of that spot. They do something called crab fries. I got to get the crab fries. These are crinkle cut fries with Old Bay sprinkled on top and a cheese sauce that goes with it. I ate a lot of those. Then
no, there can't be more.
Oh, there's more fries.
No,
there's more fries. End up at Trogs Brewing on later Saturday for dinner. Kids get BLTs. I did the classic dad move of y'all ain't gonna eat all your food. I'm not gonna buy an additional meal and go to waste. So I'll just garbage plate whatever you guys don't eat.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? There's a pile of fries from the brewery. Ate some more of that. Drive back. Oh, went to Lancaster Brewing. I'd say, I would come back with a new brewery t-shirt, Joe.
Yeah, you did.
I know you're excited about that. My hockey trip brewery tee. More fries that came with the wings that the kids ordered. Then another fast food joint.
You're gonna be a potato.
I am gonna be one large fry. What you're all asking? Okay, what the hell is Ovies getting at? It's smoothie. It's officially smoothie week.
It's smoothie season. Smoothie girl summer.
I am not going to. It's called Joe needs to make sure his jeans still fit season as it gets a little cooler outside.
Yeah.
So guess what I'm going to be doing this week? Smoothies on top of smoothies on top of smoothies.
Download
baby.
the app.
So download the app. Go to Happy Inhale. Another thing about the road trip, I will say this as we thank our friends over at Breeze Through. I mean, look, I already know that Adam runs a tight ship over at Breeze Through. They have wonderful facilities. Wonderful facilities. I have peed.
We're gonna
peed a
recruit
lot
for travelers. We would be like, hey man, we got the best facilities.
I have peed in a lot of breeze throughs in the area.
Yeah.
Sometimes it just happens. There's the breeze through by PNC. Gotta pee. Buddy, if there was ever an appreciation for how clean the breeze through bathrooms are, it's going through the middle of nowhere, Virginia and parts of Maryland. And like the kids have to go. I'm like, fine. I'll just go empty the tank before getting back in the car. And whoo boy, goodness. Now, the worst bathroom that I saw was actually inside Hershey Park Arena. I'm pretty sure that the urinal has not been cleaned since Wilt Chamberlain scored 100 points at Hershey Park Arena.
Need a new cake.
That cake was crumbled. Okay. It was so gross inside that bathroom. It's like, oh, y'all lived a little bit differently back in the day. Wilt scoring 100 and you're just saddled up on this just decrepit urinal. There was no there was no HVAC in that building. So there was fog. I'm not kidding you. The kids were playing on fog inside of Hershey Park Arena. It looked like Dorton Arena for a second. But anyway, all that is to say, Breeze Through. Great bathrooms. Great bathrooms. A lot better. A lot better than what I saw on the road. So check them out. breezethrough.com. Again, that's breezethrough.com. So you did an OG After Dark focus mostly on NC State. I guess you couldn't stay up for that late North Carolina game, huh?
Tar Heels started late. Plus, it was an emergency crisis there with State trailing in the fourth quarter to Western Carolina.
People were feeling. I never once thought that State was going to lose that game. Never once thought that. Why were people thinking that? Because you were there. So
21-17, and they couldn't block anybody, and Grayson McCall was missing a bunch of people.
And then the fourth quarter happened, right?
I mean, they had a good drive to take the lead, and then they did put it away. But.
Okay, and I'm not really all that. I don't know. I think the first thing that NC State fans want to think about is, oh my God, here we go again. It's the worst thing that's ever going to happen. Here we go again, right? I mean, that's like the general thought that people seem to be having around NC State, all because of what happened against against Western Carolina. I am not one of those people. Okay. But I will say this about NC State. You know what? At least you got what Dave wants. They're going into this Tennessee game with everybody down on them, right?
Yes.
Isn't that what you want?
Yep.
Okay, so it's working out perfectly for Dave Dorn, right?
Turn it around. Yeah.
So, for instance, we got some people in the YouTube comment sections like, what it was here. Yeah, McCall will be fine. He can move and he's accurate, even if his arm is weak. Western Carolina played hard, but the Wolfpack is looking to next week. Tennessee has significantly more talent at almost every position, but the Vols could be overconfident. However, State should have a better kicker. We'll see how that works out.
I don't think it's coming down to the kicker, but
from Weed Jones, never underestimate our ability to play down to the competition or snatch defeat from the jaws of victory. Again, that's old State, y'all. That's old State. From Nathaniel, bringing up something that I know you called out going into the season. The O-line looked like it got high sniffing their own farts this offseason. Time for them to tighten up the screws.
I don't think I said that, but
well, I don't think you went that far, but you did have some concern about the offensive line.
Yeah, and I have more of them after that game.
Okay, and then momentum is a funny thing too. That game probably changes early with a potential pick six, some drop passes, that kind of stuff. As Raider for Life points out, tackling was for poor most of the game. Can we beat Tennessee? Long shot. Just don't get run out of there. If that's how you want to come at it, so be it. And of course, when in doubt, being very, very sarcastic. Oh my, ready to throw the season away. Time to sell season tickets. Sell all these season tickets, y'all. Top 10s struggle with these games. Yeah, that's true too. Western Carolina is going to come out spunky in these types of games. We'll get out of here on what's becoming tradition in Hey Joe. Somebody's sending us some weird AI or bluegrass covers. And here we have our latest. This is if Prince was a bluegrass band. Am I going to regret this?
Mm-hmm.
This is AI, by the way.
Oh, it is?
This is AI. Has to be AI.
1, 2, 3, 4. I was working part-time at 5 and dime. My boss looks Mr. McGee.
Why? That actually was real. That's a real band. My mistake. It looked like it was AI based on how it was shot. And they picked like the perfect looking, that's an AI construct of a guy who would sing a bluegrass cover of Prince.
Oh, sure.
Why do we need that?
You're the one who started it.
Why do I need this? If I want to hear Raspberry Beret, I'm gonna pull up the single. I'm gonna be unfair to bluegrass. Stop it. Who is asking for bluegrass covers of Prince? Yet there's an entire there's an entire economy of this.
The new yacht rock metal ones are my favorite.
Yeah, those are good too. Those are good too.
Here
anyway,
comes the rooster.
That's gonna wrap it up. We'll see you all tomorrow.